Writer's block, something that happens quite often when writers are trying to tell a story. Basically, you can't think of anything to write. Your creativity just stops all of a sudden, or you just don't feel like it anymore. It's a sad state, and most times the creative spark will come back. But for the other times, it might be a bit more difficult. So, how do you overcome it? I wouldn't exactly say there's a surefire way, and most everyone has different or the same methods, but I got a few random ideas myself. So, when you read a book, do you read the ending first? I read the ending first. Anyone who got that reference, I tip my hat. But there is some merit to that way of reading. Think of it like this: the basics of it is the beginning, middle, and end. While the most natural place is to start at the beginning and work towards the ending, why not think of the beginning and then decide on how the story should end? Do you want the story to have a cliched happy ending where everyone is safe and sound? How about a bad end where everyone dies? Or, no matter what, the main character fails in the end? Going backwards from a story, while unorthodox for some, is a helpful tool. You, as the author, knows how everything is going to end. It's just a matter of trying to figure out how the middle of the story is going to work. Build up to that ending, and the pieces could start falling into place. Okay, so that isn't helpful. Why not try something more personal? Visit places that are more close to home and see if anything just clicks. Once upon a time, 4 years ago actually, my friends and I went to a park and we pretty much just ate and talked about random things. So places and personal memories may help with writing. The memories and experiences you have are your own. Something personal just might be an inspiration for the story. One other way is to leave the story alone for a while and then come back to it one day. Once you revisit it, you can read it over again and edit it from there. What worked in the past and sounded good may not may change as time goes on. This method, while good, has a twist to it. The chance to give up on it entirely arises, and the passion that once drove the project could be gone. I want to say this is what most people do. I know I've done this before and have had mixed results. Another story could pop into your head as well, which could repeat this cycle. Summer, though, is a small break. This could be to a few days to like a week at the absolute most. However, you had to force yourself back to writing, thinking of new ideas and trying not to let the story get away from you is rough. Granted, some of the passion might die down, but at least you're trying to finish the story. A common way would be before writing the story, you keep a journal slash notes on what you want your story to be. List all the plot points and important information in it so when you do get stuck, you could always go back to your old notes. I have never really done this. I've had a couple of notes here and there, but it wasn't really detail oriented. Just some random plot points and the amount of characters. An interesting one is music. The music you listen to can be inspiring. A list of genres have their own uniqueness, but one I'm fond of is country. Artists will have their classics and new releases, so a certain song could be useful. Listen closely to the songs. They hold meaning even if it seems like it's just for pure entertainment. For example, this Luke Bryan song called Play It Again, and it's a love story.
Like, oh my god, this is my song. I've been listening to the radio all night long, sitting around waiting for it to come on, and here it is. She was like, come here boy, I wanna dance. Before I said a word, she was taking my hand, spinning me around till it faded out, and she gave me a kiss, and she said, play it again, play it again, play it again. sitting in the driving my truck. Before I walked her to the door, I was scanning like a fool. AM, FM, XM too, but I stopped real quick when I heard that groove. Man, you should have seen her light up. She was like, oh my God, this is my song. We've been listening to the radio all night long. I can't believe that it came back on, but here it is. She was like, come here, boy, I wanna dance. Before I said a word, she was taking my hand, spinning in the headlights. She gave me a good night kiss, and I said, play it again, play it again, play it again. And she said, play it again, play it again, play it again.
A boy meets a girl and they bond over a song that she likes. A chance encounter, an act of fate, whatever the reason, they met and fell in love. Songs can give out good ideas. Another song but different kind of genre is anime.
Just like a rainbow bright and warm after a hazy summer storm, flowers blooming fresh with drops of dew. Watching you stare into the sky in the crimson sunlight, that's when I fell in love with you.
Each moment in a picture frame, I'm holding on, no single shot will ever fade. The movie of this world, every part, deep within my heart. You are the spark, my light in the dark, brilliant and bold through the night. Bright as the sun, no matter what comes, we can be stars if we shine. Don't ever hide those feelings inside, whenever you're sad or you're blue. When you can't cope, don't ever lose hope, the stars shine their light over you. Every wish we've made has brought us here together till forever. Underneath the stars and moon and sun, we look to the future as one.
That was called, well, look at the caption, I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong. These types of songs deal with falling in love and or currently in love. Some songs are a small story in themselves. An idea can easily come from them. The next few are going to be interesting. Remember the song I just played? Anime deals with a lot of tropes. For example, a childhood friend who loves the main character. A transfer student suddenly comes to a school the main character attends, but they might know each other from a long time ago. How about where the main character always sits next to the window and stares out into the sky? Truly one of the classics. Of course, there is the rough and tough badass delinquent with a heart of gold. These types of things have been repeated many times, just told differently. Taking a page out of them could be helpful to your story. Of course, there are watching movies themselves. An easy thing to do really, however, analyzing it is another. How do the characters talk, how do they interact, and what kind of world is it set in? These types of things really. A lot of things to note are the plot twist, any jokes or odd one-liners worth remembering and could be incorporated into your story. Lastly, how about video games? Playing or watching some might inspire you to write as well. Although they could be a distraction in and themselves, but some of these stories are worth looking at. For example, the Legend of Zelda series. That series follows the hero's journey pretty well. Now, there are a lot of games out there, for example, role-playing games, where you can choose to be good or bad, but I'm not sure how helpful that is going to be. You should have an idea whether or not your main character is going to be good, bad, or somewhere in the middle. Wrapping all this up, I'll say that these are some of my tricks to get me a out of writer's block. I can't say they'll be effective, but just some ideas that may work in your favor. As I said before, I don't think there's a surefire way to get out of writer's block, but there are things you can do to help yourself out of it.